The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acomb. We are broadcasting from the Hesselson studio, and this is the Steuben County Office for the Aging section of our program. Steuben County Office for the Aging, committed to maximizing quality of life, safety, and independence. And joining us in the Hesselson studio, making his Frankly Speaking debut, James, thanks so much for being on the program.
Thanks for having me, Frank. Happy to be here.
So, as I made the disclaimer in this whole week, I am an Irwintown resident, and I am on the Irwintown board, so you're getting the same question as every other candidate. It's that time of year. You're used to it. So let's start at the easy question, the softball question. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your background.
Absolutely. So thanks for having me on, and obviously it's been a privilege to serve the town of Erwin, both on the town board and in the county legislature for the past 4 years. It's been a really great time to be, and a huge honor to be able to get to work and go to fight at the county level for Erwin. So thanks for having me on. I'm looking forward to talk a little bit more and get the opportunity to serve 4 more years. About myself, I'm born and raised in Steuben County in Hammondsport, and I moved to Erwin about approximately 10 years ago. Okay. I was able to persuade my wife with a well-timed drive down Market Street when the snow was falling and the trees were lit up around Christmas, and was able to win her over here on returning to Steuben. And at this point now we have 3 young boys, which keep us young and obviously keep us very involved in the community. Sure. I'm a Little League coach. We're active in the Cub Scouts and PTA and a number of other organizations. But it's been an excellent time to be able to be here in Steuben. And professionally, I work for a local business intelligence company, a software company out of Horseheads. Okay. And so I work with customers and clients across the country, just helping them use data and data analysis to make better decisions and develop strategies in their day-to-day. So that's something that I think is what I bring to the county legislature and to the town board, is really that problem-solving perspective and using data to help guide kind of our decision-making and how do we use taxpayer funds in the best way possible. I
promise I wouldn't deviate questions, but I don't think anybody would be mad. How's the team look this year?
The team is great, off to a great start. 2-0. I want to say a quick shout out to thank you Apple Creek Townhomes as a sponsor, and thank you all the sponsors that support Corning Painted Post Little League. Okay,
don't be mad at me. But why did you decide to, this is kind of a 2-part question, it's a little different, but why did you decide to run for Steuben County Legislature to begin with and then now for re-election?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, great question, and it's funny how 4 years has flown by. When I moved back, it was one of those things where I was raised to believe that you raise your hand, and so when we moved into Erwin, I volunteered immediately to serve on the planning board at the town, and so I spent 3.5 years there, and then the opportunity opened up to serve on the town board and at the county level. And based on what I was learning and all the people that I talked to, it seemed like a really good opportunity to be able to continue to serve and have that voice for Erwin as I learned about all the various challenges that are going on and that we face, not only here for Erwin and Painted Post, but for the county. And
that's a great question, a great segue. What issues will you be dealing with if you win re-election at the county level?
So there's a host of issues, obviously, that come up. We are in an uncertain time, and at the county level, we do rely heavily on both state funds and federal funds. So we have to look at what's happening at the federal level and at the state level, both at budgetary in the budgetary process, because we are very conservative at the county level in terms of how we budget. We want to make sure that our taxes are as low as possible. That is a huge priority of mine, because we want to be able to keep the tax dollars being cost effective, give us the biggest bang of the buck. Sure. But to do that, we need to also make sure that we're getting our fair share from the state and from the federal government. And so the issues that I'm seeing is that what we need to pay attention to are going to be around service providing around, say, mental health, child welfare, substance abuse. looking at how we're working with law enforcement and veterans. So these are the types of things that I think we need to keep looking at and keep paying attention to as to what's going to be passed down to us, because we could be in for some challenging weather here, budget-wise.
Yes. So what would you say are, you could either look at it either way, your goals or maybe your campaign platform? I guess they're one and the same. What would you say your goals or platform is?
So my platform and the goals that I have and what I think we accomplished as personally and as the legislature over the past few years is really around the investments that we've been able to make.
Sure.
And the services what we've been able to provide. So for me, being able to offer up benefits to our law enforcement community, to the veterans community around increased pay, increased services. I supported reducing the number of years that are required for our police and law enforcement to retire, to receive that pension, and additionally increase their pay. It's a dangerous job and one that deserves our support. And that's where, and we want to make sure that we are using the dollars that we have in the most effective way possible. What I hear from when going around and working with the town of Erwin is that we want to raise our kids in a safe and prosperous place. And so in order to keep it safe, we've got to make sure law enforcement is well trained, well staffed, getting the tools that they need. Now, we also need to make sure that we are working with small businesses to support and nurture them. They absolutely are the backbone of a community like ours that relies on visitors, that relies on local manufacturing, that relies on the economic activity that we're able to develop. So my platform is also to help keep pushing on small businesses in terms of being able to support them as we go forward. And I'm going to do a quick plug because we're going to be launching a local small business roundtable series. Okay. The first one's going to be coming up next month. And that's really a chance for us to engage business owners and those that are looking to start a business and kind of introduce, not only hear from them directly as to maybe some of the challenges that they're facing, some of their concerns, their worries, but also then to connect them with some of our partner agencies that we at the county help support here, but they are fully focused on helping our small business community grow and expand. So really those are kind of the things that we do need to be paying attention to and really are the focus of hopefully my work here and then for the next 4 years.
Now, there's in the news category of my questions here, we're always making news on this program. Recently, there's sadly been historic flooding year after year. And Steuben County has been so many tragic situations with the flooding. Not so much, luckily, thank God, in Erwin, but what are your thoughts on, and I know Kelly Fitzpatrick released a piece the other day about it, how can we deal with this flooding in the Steuben County area?
So you're absolutely right, and it's flooding is the most obvious way that you're seeing. There are storms that are coming now and affecting us where before maybe we could have gotten away and we survived some near misses with passing hurricanes.
Right.
But it's not just about flooding. At Erwin, we suffered a huge windstorm last year where even in our neighborhood, a power line came across the road and cut us off, and we had no power and no ins and outs for 2 days. And one of those things is where we need to at least start to pay attention to what are the ways that we can build our resiliency as a county. It's about making some infrastructure improvements, right? When you're working with partners like Soil and Water to help kind of impact the capacity of our, the waterways in terms of what they can be able to handle when these storms pass through. But at the same time, there are some unfortunate limitations that are placed upon us, and we see it at the Erwin level when it comes to how we can interact with our local waterways to prepare so that we can reduce the risk of flooding. But it's a problem that's not going to go away. No. And it's one of those things that why we do conservative budgeting at the county level is to sort of have that extra money, the fund balance, to be able to respond.
Yeah.
Because I think with the way things we're hearing about is that it may fall a little bit more on the county and less than the federal government to be able to be there and to help support our residents.
Next topic in the news, more so not as recently as the flooding, but your thoughts, your take, and you have a little different perspective because you were in the legislature at the time of the sheriff and the county.
Sure. Yeah. So I assume you're talking about the indemnification stuff.
Yep.
And so
I just have trouble saying that word. That's why I avoided it. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't think you're alone. So the way I view it is really through the lens of reducing the exposure of liability risk for the county taxpayer, and that's really it. I respect the sheriff and the job that he was elected to do, and this was really around what we can do to make sure that when a tragic accident could happen, how is it going to impact a county taxpayer like you and me, right? And the idea is that we need to be doing and looking at everything at a county level that can help reduce that risk so that if something happens, we don't have a huge hole that is punched into our fund balance that then has to be made up for by looking at raising taxes. One thing I want to avoid at all costs. We already have that big enough burden here in New York State that if we can do anything at a county level, that's really what I'd like to do.
Changing it up completely different, but everybody on this program is very community centric, and we talk about getting involved in politics and obviously petition season, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Some people take them out for other candidates, some take them out for themselves. It's not a fun process because when they did it, but how did your petition process go this year?
Well, I love the petition process because it's the first step in really what any candidate needs to do, but it's also so beneficial to the candidate in terms of understanding what's really what's on the minds of your residents and your neighbors, and so it's also that great opportunity to have a one-on-one conversation. And also on their turf, right? Because too often, as serving on a legislature, on the town board, people don't have the ability to get there and then to raise their concerns.
Right.
So here's an opportunity for you to be able to go and say, what's going on? Yeah. What do you think is important to you, and what can we do to help?
Right. And what did you find was the biggest concern for voters as you knocked on their door?
Oh, rising costs.
Yeah.
It was economic based, and so it was really around. I'm concerned the taxes are going to be going up. There was reassessments that happened, the rising costs of just ordinary goods. We have a lot of people in Erwin and in Painted Post that live on a fixed income. Of course. And so now to be able to have to stretch their budgets even further, it really starts to change their calculus on, is this the right place for them? And that shouldn't ever enter into some minds of our residents, which is, this is the place. If you want to call Painted Post or Erwin home, we should be doing everything we can to allow that.
So there's kind of a short time frame when it comes to a primary election, and then if you win the primary, you've got all the way to November. You've got all that time, but right now this is quick.
It really is. It's a quick turnaround.
You just turned in your petitions, it seems like. So what does your campaign look like before you head to Election Day?
So I like to get it back out there, and I'm not wasting any time. I'm going to start having some coffee events, really just to kind of say, hey, come sit down, let me buy you a cup of coffee, and I just want to hear what's on your mind. Sure. And same thing, I'd like to do some community cleanup days. Okay. It's really kind of a cheesy way to say, listen, let's go out, let's help. I mean, let's just see what we can do. And by the same time, you get to know me better, I get to know you better, and also things that are on your mind. Sure. I'm going to be doing an event a little bit bigger in June. Okay. That everybody will be invited to. So it's just come and again, hear what's going on. I want to hear from you. That's the best way that I get to learn. Sure. And anything else that comes up, I can be reached on my Facebook page, James Kuhl for Erwin, or I have a website, jameskuhlforerwin.com as well. And not to mention, I have posted email at the county level, and also my cell phone is on the county website as well.
My next question was going to be find out more, but you just
I figured it was a lead-in,
It was a perfect segue. We asked your other opponents the question: if it were to happen, would you be open to a debate?
I'm always open to talk about what's important to to our neighbors and our community. Great. And that's really what this is all about. So it's the primary process. I totally respect it, and if anything, it's going to help us kind of stay focused on going forward what's important.
Great. Final question: what would you say to voters before primary day?
One, please vote. But two, it's really around. I would like to keep working. Keep the momentum of the stuff that we've already accomplished. Sure. Right, I was able to host a veterans luncheon here in Erwin to try to inform our veterans about the benefits that they deserve, and it's also going to be the same thing about small business. So. Sure. I'm accessible. I'm here. I'm active in the community. I'm a frequent runner, so if you ever see me running around the neighborhood, also just feel free to stop me. But I think Erwin's going to be best served by someone who is listening to what is important to them and is able to do the work that it requires.
Great. James, thanks so much for being on the program this morning, making your debut. Let's do it again soon.
I would love to come back. Thanks,
All
Frank.
right. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. Stay with us.